Quick one today about the idea of perfection and just some things that I see that kind of make me just crazy. I don't understand what the point is. So I'll go one step at a time, I guess. A really extensive background playing metal, rock, then played theater, classical music, jazz, and I can pretty much play everything now. To an extent. Um, For me, growing up metal, punk, it was always kind of a rebellious thing. We're playing to, break rules, make trouble. I mean, that was kind of the fun thing about it. It never dawned on me until probably like now or the last 5 or 10 years. It never dawned on me that you could make metal like a product. Like you could shape it in such a way that it was perfect as a product to sell. The idea of that sort of makes me sick, honestly. And the more I see of it now, it makes me even more sick where I just don't want to be a part of it at all, or at least say my feelings on it. Um, a couple things immediately are rock bands, metal bands using in-ear monitor systems and backing tracks. I completely understand what they are and what the use of them is. Um, a lot of theater shows. If you don't know, in-ear monitor system is just a no live amps on stage. Everything is on modelers or something backstage, and everything has you have earphones on essentially that block everything out, and there's no stage volume. Um, Consistent stage sound is the reason you do that. Everything is the same. There's no surprises. If the room changes, it doesn't matter. Um, that works great if you're the only band playing the show. If you're playing multi-band shows, you're giving the sound guy a nightmare. Okay, you brought four people, and you're giving the sound guy 20 more minutes of crap to deal with. You don't sound 20 minutes of setup better. There's already a 20-minute, 30-minute setup between bands, so you're just killing more time for no discernible good reason. So that's the first thing. It really, I don't understand. The idea of having a perfect mix. I just don't understand in that space, in the space where it's supposed to be messy and sound crazy and crazy people breaking rules, screaming. I don't get it, but the only way I could discern it is it's a way to make a product is to shape a product and make it great to sell. If it sounds great every time, I don't understand. So there's that part of it, and then there's the part of it with backing tracks. So my first experience with backing tracks was auditioning for a corporate company that does weddings and other corporate events. And real nice guy, has a very big building where clients come in. It looks like a theater. You sit down at the theater, and he has 10 or 12 bands on payroll, and they come out and do 15 minutes a spot. And they're dressed like they would dress at a performance. So they're cocktail dresses, tuxedos, whatever. And I went there for the audition, and I sat and watched a few of the bands. And I was like, they sounded great, but I was like, they sound too good. I was like, why do I hear trumpets when there's no trumpet player on stage? Why do I hear sax? Why does it sound like there's 25 saxophones at this one part? And it's because they were using backing tracks. It's because everything was on a click track on a monitor system, and they were just playing along to it. So it's the same every time. And the drummer had a big shield around him, like so he's not heard at all, except for whatever microphones are picking him up, and then just ambient stuff. But there was like minimal stage volume, and everything is very corporately controlled by a front of house guy. If you like, just like you were playing at a casino. So everything's on rails. You just do the same thing every night. Um, Again, I get that. I don't understand why a metal band would do that. I don't understand why rock bands, like the idea of rock, of being a rebellious thing, I don't understand the need to do that. I think it's crazy, and I don't understand. And the amount of money and fuss people put into like the time it takes to do it. It's not easy to program all that stuff. It's not easy to rehearse to that. It's not easy to have the environment. It's completely contradictory to everything I've ever seen playing music growing up. But it's just to make a product. So if your goal is we want this thing we can sell that's the same every time, and other bands we like are doing this, then that's what you do. I don't get it. I think of it as a huge waste of money and time, and a lot like you know we played this bar, one of the bands I was in one time, and up in, I don't know, Quarryville, PA, or Mechanicsburg or somewhere, and the bartender looked like she was about probably 40s. It looked like she'd been smoking crack for 20 years. She looked really awful and sick and skinny and thin and leathery. But she didn't have any teeth, but she had fake boobs. So she had these humongous fake boobs on a 86-pound body that looked like it was made out of shoe leather. Um, this is kind of the same thing to me. You have, so okay music, or maybe a little derivative or whatever, and then you're padding it out with fakery to try to mask that fact that you got nothing new to say, and maybe the stuff's a little tired and formulaic and whatever. So, I'm just not about it. I think it's lame. I hope it goes away as soon as possible. It's not bringing more people to the scene. That's for damn sure. At least the scene that I grew up around, which is mostly gone, except for the same people holding out and playing the same places, what's left of them, that haven't closed, that still have a rock scene, which is not much. So it hasn't helped that at all. Uh, there's much better ways to waste your time, I guess you could say. Um, and the amount of the lengths that people go to avoid, you know, being a little more educated in what they're doing instead of trying to buy their way into a successful thing it's wild. I see it, people arguing about it all the time. I shouldn't have to learn how to read music because that will hurt my art. People say that constantly. I mean, it's like the dumbest thing you could possibly say. It's like saying, I want to be a great writer, but I don't know how to write English. I don't know how to, you know, construct a thought and write it on paper. But if I learn how to do that, it will make it harder, or make it, yeah, it's wild to me. So, you know, my small corner of the world, this is just where I'm coming from. A much better. Everybody keep doing what they're doing. It's fine. I just won't be a part of it. Like, that's fine. If I see it, I'm just like, this is lame. Uh, it's in the same realm of sample replacement of entire drums sounds to make your product sound more like it's contemporary. Seen that before. You go in a recording studio, spend a boatload of money. First thing the producer does is take all the drum tracks away and replace them with samples and lock it to a click track. I don't know. I again, like, there are places where that happens. Corporate jobs, higher level corporate jobs is where that happens. That's the expectation. When you do professional theater shows, sometimes everything's on a click track, and you're using headphones or in your monitor systems. Even the lights are synced to the click track, so everything, all the scenes and all the microphone fades and lights and everything else, all move in lockstep. So yes, and rock bands do that. Rock bands playing arenas, everything is locked that way. I don't know how much of that is a person throwing a fader anymore. It's more like a person programmed this and they're making sure the program works. But yeah, I don't understand the idea of a punk band or a metal band, trying to be rebels and kind of weirdos and crazy, making trouble, and they get up on stage with $10,000 worth of gear, It's the dissonance between those two ideas where it's just so far for me. Like I don't get it at all. I've punk rock guy going up there with a Kemper or an Axe Effects is just wild to me. Like what are you doing? You know, it's just crazy. So at some point in time, and it may have always been always. We could argue that fact. There's been a brainwashing of music of not musicians, mainly guitar players and bass players. I don't see this as much in the string community, but maybe it's there and I don't know it. But definitely uh, musicians that make their music as a social construct and not a written construct. In other words, it's when you play in a rock band, a lot of the writing and rehearsing and songwriting is a lot of being in a room and interacting with people and testing things and seeing how they hold up under scrutiny and then changing them if you don't like them or if it doesn't make sense with the guys you're playing it with. You know, it might just be that in those contexts. It's like, I wrote this, I think it sounds good, but then when I put it with these guys, it doesn't work. You know, so you change it. Written music, you know, like teaching high school band or playing in theater, that doesn't happen as often. Usually you're coming in with something totally scored and you're executing. You're just teaching the execution or you're executing. You will make little changes, you know, tempo, time, things like that, but not, you're not sculpting something out of nothing. And when you leave that in that situation, you still have the piece of paper that has everything you've done on it. Where as a rock band, that generally doesn't happen. You either have a record or recording, you know, on a field recorder or a phone or whatever, or nothing. You came out with it with nothing, and the next time you meet, you go, well, how does that go? I don't remember, you know. So and there's variations on all those themes, but those are generally the two prevailing things. So Group A, uh, at some point in time, has been completely hornswoggled into thinking if I buy my way, buy all this gear and buy all this crap, that's where success is. And it's just not. It really isn't. It's like, uh, even knowing a lot about music and music theory and playing and having lots of reps under your belt, that's not even a recipe for success. But I can tell you the thing that being educated can help you with is how fast you can do it because you're not relying on anything except your everything. I guess you're not, you know, shooting darts. I'm waiting to be creative. It's like I have to do this. I have to execute. How do I do it? What's the fastest way? Your problem solving, what you want, how you get it is so much faster than people who aren't. People who are just buying stuff and you know, if you see certain bands, certain people, it's clear their influences are very clear, and maybe mine are too, and I don't know it because I'm just ignorant. But some people, their influences are very very clear. What they listen to, what they like, how shallow their influence is, and they basically are just drawing from that and nothing else because that's what they know about music. Whereas once you kind of dive into all this, there's no way out. There's basically just roomfuls of information in a hallway that take you to more hallways. And the more hallways you dig into and the more stuff you learn, the more unique your experience is and the more unique your voice is. And then you just don't sound like anybody. You just sound like you. And that's cool, you know. And it's clear when you hear people like that too. They just kind of come out of nowhere, do something really weird and interesting, either with their voice or their sound or their arrangement or combinations of those things or whatever their style, you know, blending of things. That's what is cool. Hearing a guy up there, you know, talking about how he's, you know, downtrodden and dissed by the man, and he's got $10,000 worth of gear. Where I'm standing, you're not that downtrodden, dude. I don't. It doesn't ring true. It's hollow. It's fake. And you're either faking it because you think you need to be successful, or this is what everybody else is doing, so you should do it, which is, I guess, more or less the same thing. But yeah, I don't understand. You know, the in my brain, and you know, like I said, I could just be wrong. Like I could just flat out be wrong, but it drives me nuts. The metal punk rock, you know, anti establishment people and the corporate people always seem to be at odds with each other, and so why are you aiming your darts at those people? Why are you doing the same production trickery that pop music does? Why are you doing auto tuning and playing to a click and sample replacement and sweetening up tracks with everything you possibly can throw at it? um, I don't get it. It doesn't ring true to my ears. It sounds very hollow and fake, and I don't think it has any longevity. I think it's just here today, gone tomorrow. Um, where you know I can still listen to the old stuff that doesn't do that, and I think it still has something that this stuff doesn't. And it could just be my age. It could just be where I'm coming from, the things that I want. When I listen to stuff, it could be all those things. I have no idea. But yeah. Anyway, those are my thoughts on that.